Andrew here with Drew Dudley. It's day one, Drew.
It's day
Drew,
one, man.
Drew, are there any leadership lessons that you can take from today's first episode of Drew Jay's Talk?
Well, I think that the first lesson is be I'm not working today. Um,
Is there a lollipop moment that we can grab from today, Drew?
do you know what it is, honestly, man? Is you and I have talked a little bit about this and making this happen this week because, like, I travel all over and Andrew runs a company, and so we wanted to do this, but it was one of those things where, like, are we going to? Are we going to? And I have ADHD, and it was such a cool idea, and then all of a sudden, and I'm going to admit this, and I hope this doesn't undermine me as a host of any kind of show about baseball or sports in general. But Andrew sent me a note to be like, it's opening day. Actually, no, Mike's. It was my buddy who's like, are you going to watch the game? And I was like, what game? And he's like, dude, you were the biggest Jays fan I know, and you didn't realize it was opening day. It's been that crazy. And like this week, I remember just calling and being like, we don't have time to do everything that I'd want to do like beforehand, but we just got to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's my leadership lesson, I guess, is
it's a
just
good one.
start.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
otherwise it was going to be halfway through the season and we're like, let's do it next year. And then we wouldn't do it next year.
game on. I have to just share that I do have that perfectionist bug in me, and it's both a good thing and a bad thing. But I love the idea that you and I are just sorting this out, and that was actually a really well. I put you on the spot, but that was a good leadership moment there. Sometimes you just gotta start and iterate and get better. Drew,
Yeah.
Drew Jay's talk. Tell me what Drew Jay's talk is. What's our goal? Um, Tell me.
Well,
What do we?
first of all, man, I want to say thank you for allowing us to go with Drew Jay's talk because I understand that you are Andrew. I am also Andrew, but my parents started calling me by half my middle name, so I'm Drew. But it just worked. But it
They
also
were trying
meant that
to save time.
Andrew, who
Yeah.
doesn't love being called Drew, had to go with this. So I want to send my love to you. Honestly, man, Drew Jay's talk came out because, and if you were with us when the echo was there, we're sorry if we're going over the same ground again. This is take two of our inaugural episode. Look,
Yes.
man, it came down to this. It seemed to me that we are incredibly blessed to have an amazing young and dynamic baseball team here in Toronto, but the better they've gotten or the closer they've gotten to great, the more nitpicky and negative fans have gotten. And as I
Yeah.
said before, it reminds me of the Leafs, where barely 2 years after getting out of the worst team in the league, people start talking about the window closing, people start complaining, the bullpen's not good enough. And I was like,
Sure.
why don't we just, because you and I would go back and forth texting during games and we'd
Yeah.
comment on other people's social media posts about how negative they were. And that's
Oh,
what led me to it. And when I thought about it, I'm like, I'm watching Ted Lasso and I think, see, that relentless positivity is what I wish I would get after Blue Jay wins on Blue Jays Talk.
we need to figure
I'm a
out a
Blue
way
Jay
to
Talk
do
listener.
that.
I'm not crapping on Blue Jays Talk. But even the guys who host it have to know that that's rough to me. Why can't we celebrate our favorite team? And I want to do a show where there's lots of places you'll find all the things wrong with the Jays, and you can discuss how to make them better. For now, I just want to talk about what it's like to be a fan and to once a week come together and just strip everything away about except the cool stuff, man. That's what Drew Jay's Talk was for me.
So I've got an 11-year-old nephew named Thomas, and he's just a great kid. And I think about, I don't know, well, probably 5 years ago, I started to talk to him about baseball, but took him to a game. Uh, I think we went to a game before COVID. I'll have to double check that, but we definitely went to a couple games last year. And I think about it like this: when you're trying to tell someone new about baseball, you tell them about all the great things. You tell them about all the things that are exciting. You tell them about, oh, check out that. You got to look for that. You don't tell a young kid who you're trying to educate and bring them in to this game. You don't say, oh, well, if you look at Bichette there, he's making all kinds of errors. You don't do that. You're positive. You say, if nothing else, look at Bo's hair when he's running. I mean, it's little things, but there are so many exciting things about baseball. And what I find when I'm telling new people about baseball, what I find is I'm always trying to let them know about something interesting that's happening when they don't think there's something interesting happening. A lot of people, right, Drew, you know this. A lot of people say, "Oh, baseball's boring. They just stand around." The truth is, there's always something interesting going on. It's a chess match. Uh, 9 players versus 9 players on the, well, not 9 on the field times 2. It's just 9 on. Anyway, point is,
It,
um, what
I
were you gonna
think
say?
baseball's hard to appreciate as a casual fan. Like I
Yeah.
think in some ways you can go and enjoy a hockey game if you're not a huge hockey fan because it's fast and people are smashed into each other and the concept's pretty simple. Little black thing in the net. Have you ever tried to explain baseball to someone who knows nothing about baseball? I had an
Oh, I do it.
ex, and she knew I loved the Jays, and she wanted to be a part of that. And so, on one flight, she just sat back and said, if you let me explain yoga to you for an hour, I will listen to an hour of baseball, and you can explain why you love it. And it's so hard to explain why you can love baseball unless someone has started to love it themselves. I got a buddy, he might be watching now, and we started playing MLB The Show together. And he's a much bigger hockey fan than a baseball fan. But I think he was indulging me a little bit. Oh, I'll play baseball. Drew likes baseball. I kick his ass at NHL, so let's play baseball. And it was so much fun to watch a non baseball fan, like someone who'd go to a game, start to love the nuances of baseball, start to understand that the slider is sexy, but the changeup is
Yeah.
where it's at. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And so if we can pull some of that out, you talking about things like watching Bo's hair fly as he goes around the bases, that type of thing. Watching Kiermaier go first to third in the first game of the season, and then being able to score as a result of it.
yeah.
I love the idea of not just talking about the Jays, but talking about the beautiful pieces of baseball.
Yeah. And also, I'm gonna need to see Drew Dudley on Drew Jay's Talk perform a downward double dog. Downward dog? What is it?
I think it's just downward dog.
Downward dog.
I
Okay.
do know like the actually I'm not even going to embarrass myself from what I might remember from that. Well, man, let's do this. Let's just restart it over if you've got a couple of minutes. Why don't we
Of
didn't
course.
do this? Why are you a Jays fan, man? Like let's
Sure.
talk about where it all comes from. I know we're going to get to. I think I did this too early. We're going to get to like individual things that we loved. And if you're watching this and you can hear us now, wherever you are, I'm still figuring out how to make comments work so I can see them. Tell us how you became a Jays fan. But Andrew, man, like what made you want to put on the jersey, put on a hat, and spend time out of your workday just talking about a baseball team?
My earliest memories of baseball, mom and dad had me signed up for T-ball. I have been a fan of baseball. My dad took me to Exhibition Stadium before it was torn down. I remember bringing a softball that had obviously probably been chewed on by a dog, been run over by a lawnmower. This giant, you know, softball. I remember bringing that to school, and I got an orange highlighter, and in my, 7-year-old penmanship wrote to Andrew, love, Jimmy Key. And I think I had 3 typos. And I was like, guys, look at my signed baseball. Oh, Jimmy Key. And I did it myself.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert. Um, you know, Jimmy Key was the first baseball player I remember, following. And then, of course, Robbie Alomar. Moving on. Um, you know, there's Devon White. There's and then of course, 92, 93. I would have been 10 years old when 93 happened. And you know what's fascinating, Drew? I'll hand it over to you. The strike happened in '94. The lockout, right? Was it a strike or a lockout? I think it was a strike.
I don't remember.
Uh,
Rich
that
people
happened.
arguing over money.
That happened when I was 11 years old. Uh, I will honestly say that wiped out at least 5 years of my loyalty. And I did sway over to hockey as a fan, and then I honestly started coming back. But what's a shame is during that 5 year block, Roger Clemens won 2 Cy Youngs for the Blue Jays. Didn't fully get to appreciate that. We had Orlando Hudson. We had all kinds of excitement even back then, which sadly I missed because I was still hurt by baseball, taking a full year off. Um, but I think the bug bit me again. I came back with a vengeance and felt just this new love for the team. Aaron Hill, geez, Lyle Overbay, Vernon Wells, obviously. Um, some of those names, right? You start thinking
It's weird.
about.
When I hear the names, I don't just think about the team. I think about where I was in my life. I think about the things I was struggling with and the things that were good. I think about all the things I wanted, whether it was relationships or jobs. And so you say Aaron Hill, and that's one part of my life. You say Orlando Hudson. That's something we should do on this show. Is we should pick like one of those Jays from the past whose talents and energy were kind of wasted in the dark years, as it goes. I mean, Clemens is an example. Like Halladay is the most obvious example, but I think there's so many great Jays that I loved watching that kind of toiled in obscurity. It'd be fun to bring those out. I'll
Oh
tell you. You
yeah.
don't want to know I'm a Jays fan, my friend. I will. I'll see if I can bring it up right here as to why I am a Jays fan. This I'll see if I can do me here. I have got. Oh, I can't do it. I'm in the way here.
Oh
I have
yeah, I
got
can see it. I
myself
can see it.
a opening day ticket. That is my father's. The first time that he ever left me alone with my mom, I was born on the 23rd of February, 77. First time dad ever left me alone with my mom was to go to that game. That is the opening at Exhibition Stadium at the CNE. And my dad's why I'm a Jays fan. I never had a chance, man. I just never had a chance. My onesies of Blue Jays. It's the only baseball logo I knew. I didn't know there were other teams until
Yeah.
I was 5 years old. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's all about my dad. It's all about these amazing opportunities to share with him. And for me, I'm a Blue Jays fan not because of going to the stadium. I loved the 92 World Series victory. Later on, let's talk about our favorite memories. But for me, it's in a boat with my dad fishing when I was a teenager, 12, 13, 14. And that's the time when you and your parents are often butting heads, but like out in the boat, just listening to Tom and Jerry on the radio. So when I think Jays, I think my dad. I will always think about my father, which is why I want to do a pod. And I think that's part of it too. This isn't a podcast. Part of what drove me is that I associate the Jays with my father. And every time I hear people talk crap about being a Jays fan, I remember how much joy they brought him. And I
Right.
think that drives me a lot. I lost my dad at the beginning of the pandemic, and I want to celebrate something that he celebrated because
Yeah.
my dad didn't hate any Jays. Drove me nuts sometimes because he should have. He never hated any Jays. And I kind of want to carry that legacy on, to be honest, my man.
Well, he loved it, right? He loved the experience. He probably loved taking you to games, I'm assuming, and you gracefully wrote about your dad in as a forward in Jerry Howard's book, which was
Yeah.
such a treat. Uh, I didn't even know you were doing that. By the way, I bought a copy of Jerry's book and actually went to Chapters and got Jerry to sign it for me. And as Jerry's opening the pages, he signs it. I take a look at it and I'm like, forward by Drew Dudley. What? Uh, that was pretty awesome. Do you want to tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it quickly, my friends, because we want to dive into the Jays, I know, but and I don't want to talk more about this particular story on another episode, if that's okay,
Okay.
because
Yeah, of
and
course.
heck, like who knows, man? Wouldn't it be cool if Jerry would come and talk to us?
Hey,
Like,
yeah,
so here's what happened, everybody. I was lucky enough to be offered the opportunity to write a book. I had a deadline. I'm driving along, killing time trying to get myself out of writer's block, and Jerry Howarth comes on the fan and announces, or he didn't announce actually, he had someone else read it for him because he didn't think he'd be able to, that he'd be retiring. And I pulled the car over and was
yeah,
so shocked at how much that hit me. And I think if, all you fans out there, especially of a certain age who grew up listening to the Jays on the radio, and baseball on the radio taught me to love baseball
yeah,
because Tom and Jerry painted baseball for me. And
yeah,
I understood it because of their words. And this is what got me, man. If you're a fan of a sports team and you listen, especially a baseball team, because they play 162 games. So for 8 months of the year, every night for 3 hours, I listen to Jerry Howarth talk, which means he has probably spoken more words that I have heard than any other person on the planet except my parents. And that
for
was a
sure.
big thing for me. I've heard him speak more words than any other person other than my parents. And I just remember all those memories of listening with my dad came back. So I wrote an article that said what Jerry Howard taught me about leadership. Because sports and all the things around it can teach us so much. And that's my job if anyone doesn't know. But so I wrote this article, and somehow it got back to him, even though he doesn't really have the internet. And he wrote me this wonderful note that was sent to me through his daughter. And I just remember he said it was the nicest thing anyone had written about him since he had retired, and that meant a lot to me, right? Because this guy's a hero to me. And
Sure.
then he called 2 weeks later, and he said, "Hey, do you mind if I use it as the introduction to my autobiography?" And I
Yeah.
just lost my. Uh,
Of course.
and I was like, "Of course," but I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my dad. And when that
Wow.
book came out, Jerry sent me a copy, and I can't tell you how wonderful a human being Jerry Howarth is. I just cannot. But he sent me a copy, and I gave it to my dad, and he opened it up, and he saw the forward by me, and he started to cry, which
Yeah.
is cool, except this. My dad didn't cry when I gave him my book. And yet I give him a copy of Jerry Howarth, and I was honored to write the introduction. And look, folks, it's the introduction to his autobiography. We didn't know each other. He just was
Yeah.
that kind of man. And I'll talk a
Yeah.
little bit later about what he did for my father down the road, but I do want to dive into it. But my love for Jerry Howarth will come up a lot in the course of us doing this show together.
I love how you said that so eloquently. Just as passing. My father's father passed away when I was a baby, a couple years old. My mother's father passed away when I was, again, very young, maybe 9, 10, 11. I don't know exactly know what age. So I really legitimately didn't really have a grandpa growing up. Jerry Howarth and Tom Schenck, but I'm going to say Jerry Howarth more, uh, filled a bit of that gap, didn't he?
I never thought of it that way.
You know,
But
so
people will notice I say, "Hey, my friends," a lot. And it was a friend of mine who pointed out that, that's Jerry Howarth's thing, right? Like, "Hello, friends." And
hello, friend.
yeah, and we pick up little things from people we talk to a lot. Like, I'm sure we've all noticed that you have a really good friend and you start using one of their favorite expressions. My coworker always says, "I will say this though," and now I always find myself saying, "I will say this though." And so I think I picked up some stuff from Howarth as well. Well, man, why don't we talk about the first?
Sir, yes, sir. Let's admire that one.
Let's. Man, sometimes when I'm just feeling down, I just put on the Batista bat flip, and I just listen to Jerry's call, because I wasn't there. I didn't get to hear his call. Right, I was in the left field bleachers, or the left field second deck for that home run, and so I just go back and listen again and again and again. But I swear, even though I didn't have the play-by-play in my memory, when I remember me sitting in the stands and watching that ball go, I remember hearing Jerry Howarth's call. Like, that's how much his voice and the Blue Jays like were combined for me. Is while I'm live at the game and something happens, I kind of hear Jerry Howarth calling it in the back of my mind, and I never really realized that until I started talking to you now. So
So
we'll
we
tell
had
you
some
what,
audio.
man.
I was gonna
Sorry,
say
go
we had
ahead.
some audio. It was the first time we tried doing this, so this is the second first try. So let's pretend for a minute that the first take didn't happen.
Never
I'm gonna
happened.
just kick right off through, like, let's talk about our 5 things.
All right,
Um,
this is what we're gonna
can we
do
talk
every
about?
show. We're gonna pick five things that we think should be celebrated, five things that make us happy, five things we're loving. So let's go, my friend.
Can we talk about the Var-Show?
The Var-Show. I would love to talk with you about the Var-Show, which I admit I was a little sad to hear was opening, and I'm rapidly changing my opinion. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think we both had giant boyhood crushes on Teoscar Hernandez. First of all, the guy's got a smile that literally goes from Vancouver to St. John's, and just, slugger, seemed quietly to always put up huge offensive numbers. Uh, in the field, the odd, maybe didn't take the right path to the ball here or there. But Teo seemed like one of the grown-ups in the room. He seemed to be the big brother. Interviews with Hazel, and he, talked about being with his kids, and just seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
And so when you see Teo's traded, you're kind of like, oh, that's our guy. He's part of the culture. He's part of this team. And then not too long after, you see Lourdes is gone and Moreno's gone, and you're thinking, okay, are they what are they trying to do here? This doesn't seem. We're getting a relief pitcher. What, like, what? And then who's this Dalton Var-Show guy? It's a reminder that we love our guys. We love our
Yeah.
team. We love baseball, but we don't always know exactly what's going on behind the
And we
scenes
always
too.
want to get the best guy on the market without giving up those three prospects who will be better than that guy one day, right?
Right, right.
You're totally right. It
So Dalton Varsho come in, and he has done the little things extremely well. plus defender in the outfield. And we've said this before, Drew. We're going to remind the audience: don't fact check us. We're going to give you things, and we might be a little bit off, but just go with us, okay? Go with us.
What was it? It was
Uh,
fact adjacent. Well,
we're
statistically
fact.
accurate adjacent is what we're going for,
That's
right?
right.
Like
That's
his
right.
WAR will be somewhere around 4, if
We're not. We're
necessary.
not.
If you've got the right numbers, put them in the comments.
That's
But
right.
don't yell at us. We're just being straight up.
We don't
Don't
have
fact check
time.
us on stats.
We don't have
Yeah.
time to look up the. Anyway, Dalton Var-Show doing the little things. When was the last time you saw a Jay just laying down a bunt? Um, Anytime. Like it's been a long time for me.
I've seen them try.
Moving. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But Dalton actually pulls it off. He's got speed. He's got some pop. I'm loving the arm in the outfield early in the year. Can't remember if it was opening day or the second game. Just nailed the runner at home. What a beautiful throw. Um, Big fan of Var-Show, and I can't wait to see what he does the rest of the season.
Me too. And I think a couple of big things for me is that the statistics on where he hit balls last year that were caught for outs that would be home runs in the Rogers Center. And I think that like look, the I will say this. I like that phrase, the Atkins with the SH at the beginning. I don't know. We haven't decided if we're going to be PG or what here. I
I
will
think we should
swear
be.
when I get tired at times, but I'm glad we don't hear that expression anymore because at the time I didn't like the deal because I love Teoscar and I did not like how people got on him for his defense.
Yeah,
Teoscar would play shenanigans in the outfield, but also he was a silver slugger. The same thing's happening with Bo right now. This is what I'm going to try. Is like, yes, Bo boots baseballs. However, he also works his butt off at it. And a shortstop that hits close to 330 home runs, he can boot 20 baseballs a year. It will lose fewer games than his 30 home runs will win. Like straight
yeah,
up, I get we all want it to be better, that we all wish we had Ozzie Smith who hit like Bo Bichette, but you know why that doesn't occur? Because there's only room for like 4 of those people alive at any one time. And Trout and
right.
Otani are taking up the massive talent level now. Var-Show, I
Base.
think, is going to hit 30 home runs. Var-Show is going to play great defense. I think that Moreno is going to have a great career, and I think Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is going to hit 300 several times in his career, and I wish them nothing but luck. But I think it's an excellent example of how, if we really want the Jays, if the window is now, we got to let go of the fact that 5 years from now, we might wish we had Gabby Moreno. At the same time, I think Jansen's going to hit 20 home runs, and I think Alejandro Kirk's a 300 hitter. So where was he going to go? It sucks to let that talent go, but it's about, I think, what they put together now. When I watch it with adding Var-Show, now I get it. When I watch that outfield play, now I get the
Yeah.
plan, and I have to give credit.
Moving George Springer to right field. I mean that I can probably just stop talking now. Just to, Kiermaier in center. That is a scary good outfield. They're covering a lot of ground.
It's going to be a blast, man.
If you remember, Drew, which I'm sure you do, maybe some people do, we traded Noah Syndergaard as part of a package for R.A. Dickey. And R.A. Dickey had just won a Cy Young for the Mets. So it's trading future for now. And of course, all the fans all over the world are like, we need to win now. Do something. So the Jays did something.
They
And
did.
then, of course, RA had he was roughly a 500 pitcher for us. And of course, people were like, "Why did the organization trade our future for this bum?" Um,
You know
this
what
is
they?
fans. Fans are emotional. They have a hard time just existing and being. I think we
What's
want to.
interesting,
I think
man,
we
is
want to remind people that you can just be in baseball. You don't have to win all the time.
yeah, like when you're enjoying an amazing game in April, which I know you and I loved Sunday's game against the Angels. When you're enjoying an
Yes.
amazing game in April, just enjoy the game in April.
Yep.
And I think what's interesting is you talk about mortgaging the future, selling off the assets. Baseball's such a weird like thing like that. It's not the same as football or even hockey in terms of how quickly prospects get there. But when you look back at 2015, when everyone says they sold the farm to make that run,
Yeah.
I think there were two of all of those prospects that they sold the farm for. One, Syndergaard, had a rough injury riddled career, but was ungodly good. And I think the
Yes.
other one, only I think Norris had anything close to a real major, more than a cup of coffee in the major league. So we look back and they say, oh, they gutted it all and they went for it. No, they didn't. They traded away Noah Syndergaard, who unfortunately, while being an incredibly talented pitcher, was hurt all the time. And I think Daniel Norris had a decent career as a fourth or fifth starter for the Detroit Tigers. So every trade in baseball takes 5 years to figure out. And I also think that any trade, what this Jays team has taught me is any trade that's looked at in isolation, you're missing something. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, Moreno and Gurriel for Var-Show. Okay, I think they got a little bit more. Oh, they're signing Kiermaier. Oh, they're moving Springer over to right field. Oh, Brandon Belt's going to be a part of this team now, who I am convinced is going to be such an under the radar signing this
Yeah.
year, and I'm thrilled with that too. And so I think that's a key way of looking at it. But my man, we should bump on to the next thing. We're learning how we're going to
My next
time
thing.
and pace this, everybody. Here's my
Well,
thing
my
that I'm
next.
loving.
Let's
I
hear it.
love all of the new sins in baseball. I love that it's now a sin to take too long to pitch, to take too long to hit. I love the rule changes, man. I love everything about them. Even the ones I hate, I love because I love watching multimillionaires look confused playing a game. I enjoy that a great deal. And so I love the rule changes. And I think the big piece is this: everyone talked about making the game shorter. Cool. I understand the game should be shorter. I don't know about you, man, but what I think they're doing is they're making the game more entertaining. And I don't care if it's 4.5 hour game, if it's entertaining as hell. We both just watched the Angels and the Jays play on Easter. That game took 4 hours, but there was a lot more action in that 4 hours than a 4 hour game 2 years ago. So I'm
I agree.
loving all of baseball's new sins. I love watching people screw it up, and I love the fact that it's an MLB The Show game now. Get the ball, throw it. How about you?
So I like a lot of that, but I think you and I both know there is gamesmanship in the pitcher hitter dynamic. There's calling timeout. There's stepping off. There's a quick toss to first to check on a runner. There is gamesmanship as part of baseball, and I worry that with the pitch clock, we're going to lose a little bit of that. Um, we saw it. We saw it in the World Baseball Classic, which did not have the pitch clock. Bottom of the ninth, Trout up against Shohei Ohtani. Uh, what a matchup, by the way. I noticed after watching a bunch of spring training games that there was no pitch clock, and I was thinking, okay, we're taking our time here. This is a big moment. I don't want a pitch clock to affect this too much. With that said, I agree with you. The games have been speedier, maybe not in runtime, but they have felt like more things are going on. I have a feeling, Drew, that Major League Baseball quietly sent a memo to the league, to the teams, saying, "Hey, I want you to run a little bit more this year." We are seeing, yes, we're seeing shorter games, but we're seeing a lot more activity on the base path. Which I don't know if it's time, but let's move to my second thing, which is Matt Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chapman is hitting everything. He just got named American League Player of the Week. Congrats to Matt on that. Matt is hitting singles. He's hitting doubles. He hit his first career grand slam just the other day. Um, that's an exciting thing that we've seen glimpses of offense from Matt here and there. But man, I'd love to see him signed to a long term deal. This is his walk year. Want to see Chappie uh, patrolling the hot corner and these beautiful threads more than just.
Matt Chapman is currently batting 475 with a 1323 OPS. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we like to refer to as unsustainable.
Yes.
However, he also has, I think they were commenting on the broadcast, 3 or 4 400-foot fly balls that did not leave the yard.
Yeah.
Matt Chapman is mashing the baseball. But as one thing I discovered last year is, hey, don't if Oakland's got another third baseman waiting for us, we can let Chapman walk and take whoever they got now. But one thing with Chapman, and we're talking about celebrating the things we love about baseball, man, you got to watch that guy play for the season to really get how good a defender he is. And let's face it, too, like we had such a treat this week. We got to see Arenado and Matt Chapman play third base for an entire series,
Oh
and
my
then
god.
we got to watch Ohtani and Trout, and I just thought that was amazing. Which takes us, I think, to something that you said that you absolutely loved, which is the oh my god, I blew this. What was I going to say? You love Matt Chapman, but I screwed it up, my man. Oh,
That's
you were
okay.
saying
That's
that you loved I'll skip ahead here actually to one that I know is down the road a little bit. But you were saying to me that you loved that there were playoff vibes in an
Yes,
Angels Jays game in April. Talk a
sure
little
there
bit
were.
about, because you said one of your five things was you just loved the Angels series, particularly the
Oh yeah.
Sunday game.
Yeah. So what I would say is I'm going to call you Romano now because that was a nice save. Nice save, Romano. What I would
Call me
say to you,
romantic.
romantic. What I would say to you, Drew, is what a treat we've had of great baseball this past week. Yes, the Jays opened on the road, 9 road games. It's not the longest time they've opened on the road, but it has felt like 2 weeks of being away from Toronto. Uh, the reason for that is, of course, the Jays asked for a little bit extra time to get the renovations ready, which I'm going to see tonight, home opener. Um, the level of excitement coming off of the World Baseball Classic. Everyone kind of says spring training's too long, it's slow, it's boring. The Stars only play 1 or 2 innings and then they go golf. So switching from that energy level to the World Baseball Classic, which was electric, and then right away, opening day, St. Louis Cardinals, 10-9 win for our Jays. Uh, Romano getting the save. Alek Manoah had a rough start. That's okay. Gossman had a rough start the next day. It's okay. But our guys competed, and I like that.
I think one of the things that I'll pop on, because I agree. There's when there's a "Let's Go Blue Jays" chant in California after, I think it was after Chapman's home run actually, that you started to hear "Let's Go Blue Jays." I'm like, there's something special going on here. And I'll also
Oh
point
yeah.
this out when you talk about being on the road. I was at Cooperstown, and no, sorry, I wasn't Cooperstown. My apologies. I was in Louisville, and I went to the Louisville Slugger Museum, and they have all the team bats, and they didn't have any J bats. And I was kind of like, all right, you don't have any Canadian teams. And the guy at the Louisville Slugger Factory was like, no, ever since you guys got all those young kids up there, we can't keep them in stock. So like
Wow.
Vladdy's show at the All Star game, Manoah's show at the All Star game, Bo's hair.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, like Let's Go Blue Jays, if we're celebrating what's great about the Jays, I've been told that we have a long string of incredibly hot center fielders. Like we went from Pilar, and then we went George Springer. Now we got Kiermaier. I think there was another one in there. So at least we're staying true and committed to that. One of the
You
things like
you
that
try
April
and look
playoff
Kevin
vibe
Kier-
was amazing.
you try and look into Kevin Kiermaier's eyes and tell me you don't fall just a little bit in love, Drew.
You do. I feel like it's the fall of 2015 every time I look into Kevin Kiermaier's eyes. How about this? I am loving staying up late, brother, and by that I
Yes.
mean I never turn off a Jays game on Sunday. And this is why I was so excited to do this. Is on Sunday, it's 6-0 when I pull up to Easter dinner at my friend's house. Oh well, sometimes you get speed bagged, right? That's just how it goes. And then you sent me a text, and I think it was something to the effect of baseball is such a wonderfully beautiful game sometimes. And I was just like, don't tell me what happened. I'm going to go home. Two other things we're going to celebrate about the world we live in right now: Blue Jays in 30, much love. I actually don't know how they did that for the Angels game. I didn't watch it. But the ability to just go back and watch the whole game. I come back, it's 11 o'clock at night. I turn on the game when it was 6-0, and then I just started watching and kept watching.
I think we don't know
2:30 in the
how.
morning, 3 in the
Yeah.
morning.
I think we don't know how lucky we are, Drew. You're talking about your dad earlier. Our parents would not have watched games on their, for obvious reasons, it didn't exist. PVRs on demand, Jays in 30, like you said. We have so many more ways to connect with the game we love now than we. I think we need to remember not to take that for granted. Uh, Staying up late's great. Uh, let's talk about Kikuchi. Let's talk about
Ah,
some of the some of
Kikuchi.
the some of the arms that maybe aren't getting the love that they deserve. I'm big on Kikuchi having a big bounce back year this year. Um, Guy was an all star for the Mariners and had a rough year last year. Lost his starting position, got demoted to the bullpen, but stuck with it. We were listening to the broadcast, and Buck Martinez said that Kikuchi opted to stay in Arizona all winter, didn't go home, to consistently and I forget what other word I was going to say, but just to work on
Yeah.
being the guy that he promised he could be and would be when he signed that contract with the Jays. And
My
we're seeing those results.
him and Mesa, you were saying you're loving coming back. My only worry is that if Kikuchi is another Robbie Ray, which I think can happen, at some point we're going to lose Pete Walker because some team's going to take a look and be like, this guy just takes pitchers and fixes them. And
Yeah.
I think maybe we haven't given enough respect to Pete Walker over the years for what he's brought to the Jays, because the Jays, some of their great foundational blocks come because they'd sign some middle reliever, and when they weren't any good, Pete and the coaching staff would have them get their crap together, and then they trade them at the deadline for somebody, for Santiago Espinal, or an example like that. I think Espinal came in one of those deals.
Yep. It almost feels like we got away with something. Tim Meza, obviously he was electric before he got hurt with Tommy John. Came back. I think he was up and down last year. I think he had some high leverage moments that he really, didn't answer the bell, answer the call, whatever saying you want to use. But I believe in Meza. I think he's got all the tools. I think he's a sharp thinker. And you got Meza, you got Swanson, you got Romano. That's you know, throwing a few other guys in there like Yimi Garcia. That's a pretty scary bullpen if you ask me, Drew.
The bullpen's an interesting one. I'm going to go to my next love, man, because it's one you didn't mention, and his numbers don't bear this out. But I am rooting for Trevor Richards because his changeup is disgusting. Like I think it's 20 miles per hour slower than his fastball. And his fastball is not spectacular, but did you see some of the swings Trevor Richards was getting on his changeup? It was like the Pedro days where it went from 100 to 78, right? That pitch, and I've been looking at some of the underlying statistics. He's throwing it 20% more this year than he did in the past, and he's throwing it to righties and lefties. Look, bullpens are really unpredictable because I remember 2 years ago in April, the Jays had the best bullpen in the league, and everyone was talking about how Rafael Dolis had figured it out. And honestly, keep an eye on Matt Chapman, not Matt Chapman, sorry, Trevor Richards, because I'll tell you, I don't know if he's going to put together an amazing season, but we are going to see some of the ugliest swings of the season off of that changeup. Every time he comes in, I'm like, at least we're going to see some sword play from a batter here.
Well, I think this is what we, Drew, both you and I want to do is we want to teach people what to look for with baseball. The average viewer may not even know what a changeup is. We can teach them what to look for and what things make a relief pitcher excellent. But this is what I tell my 11-year-old nephew Thomas. I say, Thomas, as much as our team is trying as hard as they can to win, you have to remember the other team is trying as hard as they can to win. And baseball is a game of failure. It's the best players in our game are successful 3 out of 10 times from a hitting perspective. The fact is that there are good players on the other team. So we have to remember that as Jays fans and not say our guys totally suck. I've read comments about Trevor Richards. Oh, make sure you leave him in wherever they were in Los Angeles. Don't bring him to opening day. No, that's short-sighted. Trevor Richards is a powerful part of this bullpen, and yeah, he's going to get tagged every once in a while because baseball's a guessing game. And if you guess the pitcher you're about to see, you might have some success. But I'm with you, Drew. Richards is he's kind of mean with that changeup, isn't he?
Well, and I think that the changeup itself, and I'm going to put you on the screen to answer a question because all of our technical hassles here have now resulted in my little my battery dying on the end here. But yeah, I think it's not just about the pitcher; it's about the pitch. You know what I mean? That changeup is a weapon, and the way that I think the managers are going to use it is, hey, we need a ground ball right here, and
Yeah.
that's going to be more useful possibly than a strikeout. And so we're going to bring in Trevor Richards to throw that changeup to a left-handed hitter. Why are you bringing a righty to face a lefty? Well, honestly, you drop that changeup off the outside corner on a left-handed hitter, and it's over. So I think that guy's going to be a valuable part of the bullpen, and I think it's always going to be somebody who steps up. Why don't I throw it to you about? I want to hear you talk
I want
about
to
this,
talk
brother.
I want to talk about the home. Oh, you want to talk about catchy and throw? Okay.
If it's okay, I
Uh,
just want to throw you on for a second because this is the best commercial since Robbie Alomar told us to catch the taste.
So catchy and throwy, that is a lot of fun. The Jays film these commercials during spring training down in Dunedin, and a good friend of ours, Paul Steinberg, ends up shooting a lot of these commercials. I don't know if he did catchy and throwy, but he did the Smuckers one with Springer and Vladdy. Um, so friends of ours make these commercials. Catchy and throwy is Jordan Romano and Danny Jansen, and they're promoting a bobblehead that's coming out later this month that looks hilarious. Um, Baseball players are kind of known for having, signature handshakes. I mean, it's not just baseball, but baseball players have these fun little routines, and Jansen and Romano have this fun little exchange they do after a win. And so this commercial hilariously pokes fun at what they should be called, and they go back and forth between a few different names, and I don't know if it's Jansen or Romano that says, should we call ourselves catchy and throwy? It's fantastic. These guys are a joy to watch as humans, and I want to remind everyone watching that baseball players are human beings. They go on social media. They see the negative stuff that you might type to make a few of your buddies giggle. Um, I think it's our wish, Drew, to just spread positivity about baseball. This is a game you can fall in love with. It's a game that'll break your heart, but that's part of it. I think that's why we love it. And yeah, being positive. What did you write in the YouTube description? Like, if it's not something Ted Lasso would write, skip
Yeah,
it.
don't write it in our comment section. And I'm sure the comment section will have people. And by the way, thanks everyone for watching me attempt to put Andrew on the screen while I messed with my camera. But yeah, it's I love that commercial because it just reminded me how much fun
Yeah.
how much fun being a fan can be.
Yep.
Because as awful as those commercials last year with George Springer and Vladdy did those peanut butter commercials last year, which were among, I mean, you make movies, man. Like just awful, but awful in a way that was just like catch the taste. It was just like and Romansen. The reason I loved it is I was listening to the radio on broadcast on the way to Easter, and I heard, oh my gosh, I've forgotten Ben Wagner. Ben Wagner had not seen the commercial, and I think Arden Zwelling was on with him, and he commented Romansen. He made the comment of Romansen, and well,
Mhm.
Wagner had not heard this before, and he lost it. And it was so
Yeah.
cool to watch a professional broadcaster laugh so hard at a kid's joke. You know what I mean? And look,
Yeah.
I don't know everyone, but I fully suggest that we all get on the Romansen train. Like
I'm
I
up.
think we need signs. I think there needs to be a graphic. I think they should be on the kiss cam together every time that they go out for a mound visit. I'm telling you right now, Rogers Center people, I just laughed it off. And now there's more horrible Vladdy and George Springer commercials that I think are intentionally bad because everyone saw how much we loved them. So
Well,
just,
so I'll
just
tell
something
you
I
real
wanted to
quick.
celebrate, man.
When you were changing your battery, I shared with the folks that good friends of ours make those commercials with Springer and Vladdy, and yeah, they are campy on purpose. They're meant to make you roll your eyes, but um, they're fun, right? They're silly and they're fun, and we could all stand to take life just a hair less seriously. Uh, and
Hey,
and
can
now
I
I
give
want. Go ahead.
can I give one last thing I love, my man?
Oh, of course, please.
I just want to give some love to Joe Siddall. I
Yes.
want to make clear, like when we do this show, it's not because we don't like and respect Jay's broadcasters. I know for a fact that Andrew is a Buck Martinez like fan. I believe you said that Buck can do no wrong in your world. Uh, is what you said to me.
Okay, we'll come back to it. Come back to it.
Anyway, Joe Siddall, I remember when he came on to be the play-by-play guy with Jerry Howarth a few years ago, and I liked Joe Siddall like from the get-go, and I didn't
Mhm.
realize that he had met Jerry, I think in Detroit, and Jerry found out that his adult son, had recently passed away, and made Siddall made a joke about, well, maybe I'll see you in the booth one day, and Jerry was like, well, why not now? And it was Jerry Howarth who went and got Joe Siddall, who didn't have, as far as I can tell, any real experience. And he was good but inexperienced as a color guy on the radio. I didn't love him, but man, since he's moved to the desk on TV, I just want to give this example. I want to give credit where credit is due. The Jays did a double steal. I forget what game specifically it was, and Cavan Biggio was at the plate. It might have been the Sunday Odyssey, and he took a pitch because they got such a good jump. And whether that was planned for or not, I really appreciated Joe Siddall when he had the chance to do analysis, giving us that as an example. It wasn't just like these guys play hard or God bless Buck. He's got a good arm. No kidding. He's a professional baseball pitcher. Of course he's got a good arm. Count everybody, do a shot this year every time Buck Martinez says he's got a good arm and see what happens. But when him pointing out, watch Cavan Biggio notice the jump his teammates got and take a good pitch because he knew it was a double steal, I would never have noticed that. And that made me appreciate both baseball and Cavan Biggio more. So I wanted to give some love to Joe Siddall.
I fully agree. Not only is Siddall great on TV, but he's great on social media too. He responds to fans and chats with them. It takes time to get to know them. Full praise for Cavan Biggio. I love that guy. Underrated. Cavan wears a lot of grief, I think, and I think he's a real important part of this team. Drew.
Yes, sir.
True Jays talk. This has been fun.
This has been a lot of fun, my friends. Hey, let's just pretend the first one didn't happen. Hey, when should we do this? When should we do this, brother? Like, we're doing it today because we had waited too long to start the season, and the home opener is tonight, which is going to be amazing. Yep. The electricity. I can't believe I'm not going, and I still can't guarantee I'm not going. But
tickets available.
Yeah, when
should we? Not directly, but on some of the resale sites. Go ahead.
If you're watching this on YouTube, once our channel's up and running, throw in the comments when we should do this. Should we do it at noon so people can watch it over lunch? Should we do it one night before a game or after a game? We'll figure it out. We'll post it. We're playing it by ear. You've seen all kinds of the technical little hiccups as I've been trying to do this on the same time. And we know not a lot of people are watching live this first time through. I haven't seen comments come up, so I'm going to have to learn how to do that as well so we can engage and we can ask questions. But as we sign off today, why don't we throw a question out to maybe people can put in the comments if they watch this after the fact. So Andrew, let's throw it this way, my man. What's your favorite Jay memory?
Okay, and am I answering you now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if that was for next week. Favorite Jay memory.
You know what, man? Hold on. We are running it a little long. Why don't we save that for next week? Why don't we put our final question? What's your favorite Jay memory? Everyone throw that in the comments, and why don't we open up each show with, or the early part of each show, we'll talk about the question from last week and some of our favorite answers that maybe got posted.
Love it. Thanks a lot, Drew.
To plan stuff as we're doing it. It's so not what I've done, but it's kind of fun. And thank you for your patience, everybody. We're new at this, and I'm old. So, like, audio and clicks. Listen to me not know what a click is, but you know what I mean, everybody.
There's just as we're wrapping up, I'll just say to some of the newer Jays fans who might be watching, you're excited about Bo Bichette, you're excited about Alek Manoah, go ask, maybe if you're younger, ask mom and dad, or go yourself and get a copy of Hello Friends, Jerry Howarth's book. I think you're going to learn some things about baseball, how to love baseball like Drew and I both do, and you'll get a chance to see the foreword written by my friend Drew Dudley. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Andrew.